Hello everyone and welcome back to some more F1 League racing content. Today we're here for the World Online Racing, aka the WOR League, for round 2, the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. Now first of all, if you haven't seen round number 1 at Bahrain, I'll leave the episode linked in the top right. Go check it out guys. It was a pretty decent season opener, starting from P19 and having a solid recovery drive. But today we're here at Japan, round 2, my favourite track of the entire calendar, but also one of the most challenging because the curbs around here are very, very dangerous. Now, if you guys are excited for today's episode and enjoy the content, then leave a like straight off the rip and subscribe for more because I'm trying to do 2 league racing videos a week and also 2 league racing streams. So if you haven't done so already, check out the Twitch channel link down below and hit the red subscribe button to not miss out the content on YouTube. But in the background, you've been seeing qualifying, underway. Our first run was on a set of mediums just to get a banker lap in. The second run was on a set of softs. And to be fair, we had a pretty decent second lap of 126.8. And now we're going to go for our final lap. So we're currently P5. Let's see if we can maybe jump into that top 3 and maybe even push for pole. So DRS are open on the pit straight, running down to turn 1. Now, there's a lot of understeer here. You want to try and focus on turn 2. That's the key area here. So you don't necessarily have to always hit the apex. We actually run in a bit too deep. I broke a bit too late and completely missed the turn 2 apex, and we're 3/4 of a tenth down. Heading into the S's, I'm trying to recover that lost time, and to be fair, it's not really going that well. But luckily through here, right at this point in the S's, I found a bit of time. Still a little bit down though on my previous best, but I do believe there was probably a 0.3 of a tenth improvement in that first sector had I hooked it up pretty cleanly. Degners 1 and 2, pretty straightforward, bit of oversteer on the second one, up to the hairpin, straight line braking, very important. Second gear, short shifting up to third and then up to fourth on the exit to minimise wall spin and keep it clean. Keep the car super tight to the right hand side as we approach Spoon Curve. Now, the 50 meter board is usually the reference here to brake and then turn in just after that. We managed to open up the second part of Spoon, just missing the apex a little bit, but we get a nice good exit. And we're going to carry that 0.7 of a tenth advantage down to the end of sector 2. 130R, absolutely flat out, no dramas here. And then we prepare the final chicane, the Casio triangle, keep it tight to the left hand side, brake at the 100, down to third, and be really aggressive over the curbs, short shifting to fourth in between the left and the right, and then keep it super tight to the right as we run to the line to minimise distance. And across the line we go. We improve by a tenth and a half, setting a 26.6, and we go P5, so no improvements in terms of position, but still a decent qualifying. And before this event, I was quite busy. I hadn't really had a chance to really practice that much, so I'm actually quite happy with the pace, to be honest. I do believe there was a bit more time in it. P4 was definitely on the cards. I think P3 onwards was a bit too far away. But Sector 1, I think, had I hooked it up perfectly with all the mini sectors, I do believe there probably would have been like a tenth in that first sector to find. And then possibly a little bit at Spoon as well. So, yeah, probably we would have been looking at P4 on an ideal lap. But still, a decent qualifying. I think the absolute perfect lap could have given me P2, but pole was just a bit too far at the question here today. So, yeah, my teammate Luke Smith, or Vexdip, he's in P3, so pretty decent stuff. Both cars in the top 5, and we're all on the soft tires. So, let's jump into the race, and let's see if we can make it back-to-back decent points finishes in WOR. Now you join me at the end of the formation lap, and soft tires on, we're going to one-stop it, so soft to medium, pretty straightforward strategy here today. No rain expected, it's going to be a dry race, and fingers crossed we can make it a better race than the last one. So here we go then for the 5 red lights at Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. 5 lights are on, and we're underway, and it's a pretty good reaction time to the 5 lights, but the second phase of the start isn't quite there. That allows the McLaren of Days Rhombus to have a look up the inside into 1. My teammate Luke off the track there as well, trying to be careful to not have contact as we go side by side with the McLaren into the S section, and we managed to all go into single file, which is ideal for us, and we can just kind of chill and be patient. Now, in this race, I knew I had some good pace, potentially race-winning pace, but that wasn't going to arrive until later on in the race because due to lack of practice, I need a couple of laps just to make sure I get comfortable, get into the rhythm, get into the zone, and find the balance, the tyre wear, the tyre temps, all that kind of stuff. So for now, we're going to be a little bit cautious. We're not going to rush into things just yet. Into the hairpin, nobody challenging me, and I wasn't challenging anybody. So also going to be very key this race. Pretty good start so far. You hear me in the background saying DRS is going to be quite key this race, which it will be. You know, there's only one DRS zone, and traditionally around here you tend to have a lot of DRS trains. So I feel like for now we just got to try and get through the first 3 to 5 laps without any big dramas and build up our confidence, because I've not done any race practice. Now in the background you can see here pretty smart play. We've got Jeffrey Ritchie, Suzuka and Dazed Rhombus going side by side. They had such good momentum on me through 130R, but luckily what I did was I kept my ERS off. That way my straight line speed was very low, and I've kind of forced them both to back off a little bit and lose the momentum, which means I didn't have to use too much ERS to stay ahead into the final chicane. Up ahead though, Luke Smith making the move on Fritzen in the Mercedes for P3. And a couple laps later now, lap 4, at this point of the race I started to get comfortable and it was time to push. So Luke was pulling away, Fritzen dropped out of DRS range of the top 3, and I think out front, whoever the leader is, I think it might be Flores Viers, he's pulling away. So things were starting to move. Meanwhile behind, Days Rhombus, 3-second time penalty. So things were starting to, you know, shake about and open up a little bit. So the race was opening up, and it's a key phase. Up ahead, you can see Luke battling quite heavily there with, I believe, JST in the Alpha Tauri, not able to get the move done. But meanwhile, here we go. We're going to try and put a move on Fritzen, who doesn't have DRS right now, as we set a personal best. Look at the speed difference as we fly past on the straight and make the move into turn 1 up the inside. Nice, easy, and textbook. So P4, both cars in the top 4. And I want to kind of run with my teammate here, Luke Smith, and see if we can put some pressure on the top 2 and potentially have a pretty strong result and finish this race. So we cut on to lap 5. We set a personal best by about 6/10 of a second, nearly 7/10 to be fair. Very good pace. Fritzen 7.5 behind. Meanwhile up front, Luke going for the move again on JST. They're also battling with the race leader now, Flores as well. So they're all going at it, all 3 of them, which allows me to just close the gap and get back within a second, which is awesome. So exactly what we wanted, you know, because I'm trying to not use too much ERS, because around here the ERS is quite hard to save and charge, so you want to make sure you keep it on the side. Now lap number 9, at this stage a few laps have gone by, the race kind of calmed down a bit, and we've managed to drop Fritzen out of the 1 second DRS window. Now Jeffrey Ritchie, Shizue is looking pretty quick. Everyone's going to pit on this lap. Now I can't pit obviously because my teammate's in, so I have to stay out one more lap. But I was thinking, and you know, the cogs were turning in my head, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to extend by an extra lap. So we're going to go to lap 11 and box. Now the idea here is to avoid any pits, you know, pit lane stacking, you know, being held, because we do have to throw a pit box. And also going longer, I've got the tyres for it. The pace wasn't too bad, but it means we'll have much better tyres at the end of the race, and it will mean we can push, you know, give a lot more pace and potentially be stronger in the final few laps, which is when I'm expecting myself to be at my strongest in terms of pace. So lap 11, we're going to pit and box for a set of mediums. Into the pit lane though, unfortunately, it's a bad entry. We speed and pick up a 5-second penalty. Now, not ideal, not what I had in mind. And I'm really annoyed I got that, because it's going to change the course of our race a little bit. Now, with the pit entry, I was being very cautious on the tyres. I didn't want to lock up or lock the rears, because then you're kind of out of control then, and you don't really have control over the speed you're carrying into the pit entry. So I was a little bit too cautious in that particular instance. I didn't really actually brake enough. So not ideal. We're now down to P10. And of course, there's some cars on mediums that are yet to pit. But it's worth noting, Jeffrey Ritchie, who was ahead of us, behind us before the pit stops, he's now ahead of us. So he's managed to pull off a multi-car undercut. JST, he was in P2 and he's now just ahead of us. So he's lost a bit of time in the pit stop phase. And pretty much there was a couple of laps here, a little bit of a phase in this race where a bit of a DRS trend was happening. I tried to get past Jay, but it wasn't happening. He had DRS on Jeffrey Ritchie, so it was quite difficult to get the move done. So I thought to myself, right, change of plan. Let's attack somewhere else, because it's not going to happen into turn 1 with DRS. So on lap 14, you can see Jay running a bit wide out of spoon I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to use a bit of VRS and see if we can get super close. I'm pretty confident I'm good through Sector 3. It's my strongest sector. As we head through 130, we're closing up on Richie as well up ahead. Down to the Casio Triangle, though, we're going to go up the inside on the brakes, get the inside line, and then make it around the outside of the second part of the chicane. Nice clean move, zero contact, and we move ahead of the AlphaTauri. So lovely stuff. We get DRS on the car ahead, so Jay won't be able to re-challenge and get back past. So that has worked out beautifully for us in this race. Now it's worth noting Luke Smith up ahead, 3.7 seconds, now 3.3 seconds as myself. And Jeffrey Ritchie are pretty much going to work together now for the rest of the race. That's kind of the plan here. So hoping to see a few more. You can see behind Shizu Nomzi, he's got a 3-second time penalty. He's 1.6 adrift right now, so he could be a reference for us, because if he has a 3-second time penalty compared to my 5, that means all we need to beat him and be ahead of Nomzi is a 2-second gap across the line on the last lap. So we set a personal best by 3.5 tenths, and we're going to challenge Richie here for P4. He goes defensive, but we've got the overspeed, and we're going to go around the outside and make the move back up into the top 4. Everyone has now done their pit stops, and normal service has been resumed. I believe there's one car out front yet to pit, so it should be Flores Villas P1, Luke Smith P2, and we should be in P3 as we set another personal best on lap 18. Now, the plan here was simple. Push as much as I can, give it everything I've got in terms of pace, drag Jeffrey Ritchie with me, and I need to work with him. And in the process, we're going to drop JST out of DRS range. Now, Kerfuffle is the last car to pit, so we're going to move into the podium places for now. But with the 5-second penalty, if you look at the minimap, we've got a lot of cars heading into turn 1. So we've got 7 laps here to make this work. So at the end of lap 20, I've done my little bit of pushing, you know, given everything I've got. And JST has now dropped out of the 1-second DRS window on this lap. So that's a crucial point of this race. And now is when we're going to allow Jeffrey Ritchie to get the slipstream, use the ERS, and basically get the slingshot and increase the gap even more to Jay in P5. So this has worked out perfectly. Behind us, though, I believe Nomzi is going to try to look for a move on JST for P5, but for now, I don't think he's able to make it stick. So we're going to let Jeffrey drag us along and see what kind of pace he has now, because he's been sat behind us, saving ERS. So end of lap 21, you're going to see now Richie set a purple lap, which is great for us. That's exactly what we want. You can see the gap behind to Jay is over 2 seconds now. So the plan is working, and so far we're starting to stretch a bit of a gap. Also, the train of cars behind is just starting to break up as well for good measure, so everything is falling into place. Into the S section, though, you can see Nomzi has got past JST, so that's not too bad as well. Jay now 2.5 seconds behind, so the gap is going up. Nomzi, though, is within range, so as long as he's within 2 seconds, again, reminder, he's got a 3-second time penalty, he will overtake us. So the laps are ticking over. Jeffrey doing a great job with the pace, and I was able to keep up quite nicely and also charge up my own ERS at the same time. Lap 25, the gap to Jay now 4 seconds, and it was going up. Nobody was passing JST, so at the minute we're looking good for at least P5 at worst if we keep this pace going. Just doing a good job of managing the tyres and waiting for the right opportunity to push. And Nomzi actually was faster than us. He had really good pace. He was catching up quite a lot. But ultimately, the fact he didn't have DRS meant that I pulled away on the pit straight. You know, all the time he made up over the lap, he'd lose it on the pit straight. Now, lap 26, Flores Villas was having desync issues and screen freezes, I believe. And unfortunately, it's going to mess up my plan a little bit. I was planning to pass Jeffrey Ritchie on the last lap of the race. But because of Flores' issues, he's actually going to end up giving Jeffrey DRS, which is going to ruin my plans of, you know, overtaking him on the last lap and getting the slingshot, basically, because you can see Richie has no ERS left. His light is flashing, so this would have been the perfect time to pass, but he's now got DRS. So we set a personal best. Luckily, though, we're going to get a massive DRS slingshot here. Everyone running in a train. You can see the gap to Nomzi shoot up to 2.3 seconds as we gain so much on the straight. And I believe Nomzi is completely out of ERS now. So we've done the job also with Jay as well. The gap is now 6.7 seconds. So running, you know, in the DRS of Jeffrey, trying to save ERS. And I was planning on a last lap overtake. It wasn't to be, but still it's worked out for us because on the last lap of the race, we now have the gap we need to stay safe and hold on to P4 and bring it home. Obviously, not ideal. I wanted the podium, but the penalty kind of meant I had to change my approach a little bit in this race and change my focus. So yeah, happy days. P4 for the second race in succession, just like in Bahrain. So back-to-back P4s. My teammate Luke Smith picked up the win. And, you know, I believe I could have fought for the race win today. If you look at the fastest laps as well, the pace was there, but the penalty kind of messed me up. I had to change my strategy approach a little bit, and I wasn't able to fully commit to the way I wanted to do the race. I think had the penalty not happened, obviously I would have tried to stay ahead of Richie. You know, that would have been the plan. I wouldn't have let him back pass. I would have stayed ahead, defending my position, because that would have been net P3. And then with Florence's issues, I potentially could have had a chance of getting past at the end for P2, and that kind of would have been the play in this race. But nonetheless, good race all round. Can't complain. Considering Luke had first call on strategy, we had to stay out a bit longer. That's fine. We look at the Drivers' Championship though. After 2 rounds, we are currently P5, my teammate P2, and we're looking pretty decent. Things are going well. JST holds on to the championship lead, Nomsy P3, and Jeffrey Ritchie, aka Shizu Ace, in P4. So yeah, pretty much the top 6 in that race are the top 6 in the championship. That's kind of how things are going right now. We look at the constructors, and we are leading the championship by 15 points actually. So myself and Vegzit, aka Luke Smith, doing a good job, picking up good points in the opening races, and overall a decent race. But with that said, guys, moving to the next one, round number 3, which I believe is going to be I want to say Canada, but I might be wrong. I might be completely making that up. Either way, I'm looking forward to it, and it should be a pretty good race. But if you guys enjoyed today's episode, leave a like and subscribe for more daily F1 content. As always, check out the 2 videos on screen regarding league racing content on my screen as always, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care, and it's goodbye from me.